All right there, everyone. So today I am here with the host of the World of Brickfilms Podcast. Well, as you can tell by the title, and you can see his face right there, you know who he is. It's William from LOTW Studios.
Hello, everybody.
So, first things first, man. What got you into podcasting?
Well, it kind of stemmed from I don't know if you know Brick Film Day.
No.
Like I said, like this, they host this like annual event every year, obviously, because it's annual. And they did. It was in 2018. They did a 45th anniversary of the first, the earliest known brick film, which is I think Journey to the Moon. And what they do is they have like a day-long event where loads of different brick filmers will each like make a brick film, and they'll schedule it so that it's like, you know, through like they have a specific like schedule. So like, you know, each brick film every like half an hour or whatever. And to mark like the 45th anniversary of like brick films, I wanted to do like a timeline video, which was kind of like, you know, brick films through the years. And I got some really nice comments from people saying that they discovered brick films that they had like never seen before and stuff. And I wanted to kind of like find a way of continuing that. And that was kind of like the main thing that made me want to do the World of Brickfilms podcast, because it was kind of like, you know, showcasing these brick films from like throughout brick film history. And I think it was Penta who kind of came up with the idea of making it more centered around like a special guest. So, you know, you have a different guest for each episode. And I think together we kind of made the whole, like the format of like the podcast.
Well, it is really nice, to be honest, because my first discovery of it was when Ed Baum put it on his community page and in the Discord server. And I was like, oh, cool, there's a podcast, cool. And I clicked on it and I was like, Forest Fire's been on here. Sean Willett's Mind Game. Man, like all the big dons are on here. I couldn't believe it. And I was just watching quite a few of the podcasts straight away. And then I saw, oh, cool, this guy does brick films as well. And it was just awesome to hear all these people like talk in a regular conversation, because brick filmers usually have like very private lives. They're not like vloggers going like, "Way, how's it going?" all the time. They're like, they just make art. They make things that, you know, that's close to their heart and what they enjoy doing. Because it takes a shit ton of time to do, obviously, brick filming, so it has to mean a lot to them. And it's just cool to hear them talk about stuff, you know, and talk about their brick films. So
yeah, well, I think it's funny because I feel like at the time when I started it, I mean, there were two like the podcasts that I knew that were brick filming related, because you have the Brick Films Guild podcast and the Frame 100 podcast. I remember at the time the Frame 100 podcast was kind of on a hiatus, and I kind of feel like personally I wanted to kind of fill that void, because I feel like there's so much within the community outside of the actual brick filming itself. It can feel like it's a bit like empty, and I wanted to kind of like fill that void and kind of have content outside of just the brick films themselves, because I think the people behind the brick films are also interesting as well. And it's just fun having a chance to chat with people as well. You know, I've managed to get to kind of like I've kind of made some, you know, real friends, like, you know, out of it as well. Like people like Ed Bounds and like Forrest. Like I didn't really know them like beforehand, and now, you know, I'm like getting into contact with them and stuff. It's
So you talk to Forrest and Ed and some of the other guests like nearly every day or every week, or?
Well, I mean, I've talked to Ed Bound quite a bit. I mean, I don't really talk to Forrest that often, but I've kind of like occasionally sort of back and forth on like Twitter and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that I'm kind of like, you know, got contacts them, it kind of feels kind of like, you know, it's kind of the brick film equivalent of whoever, you know, is like the biggest name and, you know, whatever, you know.
Yeah. It's like getting Black Plasma Arbiter 617 if you're a machinima person, talking to him, or I can't think of any other YouTube, I don't know, like Flash Gits if you're a 2D animator. You know, it's like quite a big deal. To be fair, I was saying on the Edbound, like the podcast I did with Edbound, though, I was like, because we did mention you. I can't remember what the conversation was, and I was like, I don't get how he's so chill when he's talking to like people like Forest Fire and all these legends of the brick film game. I'd definitely be fanboying out if I was talking to Forest. I'd be like, you were my childhood, bro. I was watching you when I was 7, man, and 8, and onwards, obviously, all these years. Even when I stopped watching brick films from like 2016 to 2020, him and Keshin, I was still watching them quite consistently because their stuff's just, it's like a proper film, you know. Have you? Watching? Oh, sorry, go on.
No, sorry, yeah, you go ahead, yeah.
I was just going to say, have you been watching brick films since like years and years and years ago, or did you only start watching in 2015 when you first did that stop motion? The one with the Christmas Carol one?
Oh, yeah, Bear's Christmas Carol. Yeah, I mean, I actually started like making stop motion films a little bit before that. I think I started like in early 2014, but I wasn't really I didn't really go on YouTube that often, so I wasn't really that aware of brick films. I think the first time I ever saw like a brick film was probably around 2010, and at the time I was really into the Lego Indiana Jones theme.
Oh, cool!
And I mean, I still am now. I collected a few like Lego Indiana Jones stuff recently, and I remember I used to really like. There was a video that Lego made themselves, which is like a CGI one that was Raiders of the Lost Brick, and I used to watch that over and over again on YouTube. And I remember on the recommended, I'd see like these like brick films, but I remember thinking, oh, I don't like these. These aren't the CGI ones. I was only into like the, the CGI Lego, and I think I kind of completely forgot about brick films until I think in 2014 I saw, because I was really into pirates at the time, I saw Doug Vandergrift. I don't know if you know.
No.
He did, because he only did a couple of brick films, but they're really like notable brick films. And he did a brick film called America Outlawed, and another one called I think it was just called Pirates. And I remember like this was the first time I'd seen a brick film that was really like impressive. Like, it had like green screen, and it had like this like original score and everything, and I was like blown away. I was like, how did someone do this? It was just like beyond, it was that whole like mind blown kind of meme, Yeah. And I was like, that's kind of when I started watching brick films. I think I remember at the time being really into like Michael Hickok's. It's because it's just whatever you find like on like the front page when you look on like Logo, like brick films and stuff. I think over time I kind of just discovered that over the next sort of like year or so, I discovered like other brick filmers like Nathan Wells and Mind Game and that kind of thing. But yeah, I think really I've only really started watching brick films around 2014.
Okay. Did you did you just stick to like lesser known people, or was you watching people like Forrest and Keshin and Brotherhood Workshop and all them really quickly, or?
Well, Brotherhood Workshop, I remember watching him quite early. Like he was one of the ones I really liked. Along with, I feel like I pretty much knew all of them. I remember Keshin and Forrest, and also Fancy Pants as well. I really liked.
He was a legend, man. I remember when he had to go away in 2012, and it was like All Good Things, and it was like one of the most saddest, heartbreaking videos ever. It's just like, oh man. But he came back a couple of years later, and he made amazing brick films. His Kylo Ren and Darth Vader was absolutely just like. Perfect.
Oh yeah, I loved that. It was so good.
I just love the effort.
Yeah, I mean.
Oh, sorry, go on, bro.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, I think I kind of liked just a variety of different brick filmers at the time. I remember like, I just look at recommended as well. I just go, if I saw a thumbnail I liked, I just watch that.
Yeah. But it's weird how like you see some of these people who have like 2,000 videos and they haven't really got anywhere. But like brick filmers, they might have only done like even just 10 videos, and they've got like 200,000 subs. Well, not 10, like probably 40 videos. But there's this one bloke, I don't know if you know him, this dude called DSP, and he's a streamer, and he's uploaded like 57,000 videos, and he's got absolutely nowhere really. He makes money and all that, but it's like I just don't get it when people have to just spam out videos like lunatics. Like even like like 3 or 4 a week or whatever, that's fine. But like 57,000 videos, mental. Even PewDiePie only has like 4,000. It's like,
yeah, no, it's mad.
Chill out. So you prefer, not just like with brick films, do you prefer like videos? Have you ever heard of Shay Frillis?
Rings a bell, but I'm not sure.
He reviews a lot of animated films, but a lot of his videos usually take quite a bit of time to come out. Like he's really in-depth reviews. So do you prefer, and the same with brick films, like a lot of brick films take ages to come out. So like, do you prefer content that has a crap ton of effort into it and it just comes out amazing, or do you prefer like consistency with like YouTube channels and just
yeah, I definitely prefer the whole like non-regular sort of quality over quantity, because I feel like whenever I see, I'm a big fan of people like I Hate Everything and like Your Movie Sucks, and he does stuff quite regularly, but like I Hate Everything is kind of a good example of someone who only uploads like a few times a year. But when it's something like that, I kind of feel like as soon as I see like he's uploaded another video, it's kind of like it's like an event. You know, you want to watch it straight away. Whereas if it's someone who uploads like, I mean, I still watch a lot of people that upload like daily, but I don't necessarily watch all their videos because it's kind of like, oh yeah, I'll skip this one because I'll watch the one, tomorrow kind of thing. But if it's someone like, I feel like in general, I really like people who just sort of release maybe like once a month or whatever.
Yeah. How long have you been watching I Hate Everything for? I
think since about early 2016.
Do you remember when that director went after him and tried to like? What's his
Derek
name?
Savage.
Yeah. Like, utter lunatic. I can't remember what film he made, but it was an absolute dog shit, appalling.
Yeah, it's Cool Cat Saves the Kids, isn't it?
Like absolute rubbish. And for a director to have that much of an ego, like, and be like, no, this film's a masterpiece, how dare you criticise it? And like come after a bloke on the internet. It's like, first off, if you really thought it was the best film ever, you wouldn't need to go after him. And second off, like, he's making valid criticism. Why do you even care? You're a director, you're making your money, like, calm your tits, And
what is so funny is that like IHE wasn't the first person to actually kind of do a video on him. I think Your Movie Sucks did it first, and he was like absolutely fine about that. And he even kind of like offered. He even gave YMS like a role in the in his next film. Like he was going to say, "Oh yeah, you can be in my next film." But the moment that he defended IHE, he was like, "Oh yeah, you're no longer in my film now." The funny thing is, though, he wasn't any like kinder to him in his review, so I don't really get like why there was such a hate on IHE. Like, yeah.
I mean, does that other guy have a lot more clout than IHE, or is he not as famous? Or
I mean, he's been doing stuff for like years. YMS. I mean, he's got like I think about nearly 1 million subscribers. Not quite as much as IHE, but
because I was thinking if YMS only has like 100K. And IHE is obviously on at the time he might have been on 800K. Maybe I was thinking like maybe because IHE had more attention, that's why he'd be more pissed off because more people knew about how weird Cool Cat was.
Yeah, I think IHE was more popular at the time. I think because like I think his videos were doing like he regularly get like 1 million views I think per like video. Whereas I think YMS, I think he gets. I mean, averagely he gets like like hundreds of thousands of views per video, but I think over time they've kind of both sort of grown quite a lot in
definitely
subscribers.
Yeah, I mean, I did used to love IHE, but now I just usually watch more like podcasts and in-depth reviews, and I just prefer like podcasts are probably some of my favourite stuff to watch, or like comedy skit videos or brick films nowadays. I've just
comedy skits. I watch a lot of them.
You watch a lot
on YouTube.
Stephen Tries?
No, I watch like Gus Johnson.
Do you know Gus? I ain't heard of him. I'll look him up quickly. I might have watched a few of his videos, but like not remember.
Yeah.
Johnson.
Like he did a video, I think it was last year. No, it was early this year, about like student films, and it was just like it was just like the perfect parody of just like, well, just being in university as a film student. It's like lack of organization and just like yeah.
Honestly, I cannot recall watching him, but some of these videos do like decent banter. Oh, when you watch Pro ZD, seems like he's firing some shots here, but yeah. Oh, I might give him a watch later. I do love a cheeky skit, you know. As you said about like you know, film, our university and film is a bit like naff and all. Well, not naff, but like it's a bit of a shambles sometimes with university. What has it been like for you? Like, obviously you can't give too much away because you could get in a bit of shit. But what has it been like doing film and all that stuff?
Well, it's really weird because I felt like pretty much all like my time, some have some good experiences. Like I made some real friends, like within uni, and some of my best friends like outside of online, like in real life friends. Like outside of that, it's really cool being able to use all this equipment, like, and it's like it's like these cameras and stuff, which are like, if you damage this camera, that's like, you're never that's like the amount of, it's worth about the amount of money you ever, you're never going to see that money, it's just like, it's insane. So that's really cool. But I don't know, it kind of feels like when it comes to the actual making films themselves, like I've never made anything that I felt is genuinely passionate about as like brick films.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I think when you're working with a group of people, and I think as well, like live action, it is harder than like stop motion. And I'm generally a big fan of doing everything myself in terms of like the creative side of things.
Yeah.
And I still struggle, I think, when it comes to group stuff, like not having all that control. And yeah, I don't know. I in general, I'm kind of like, I don't know. I still feel more excited and passionate about like the brick films I'm making than like the films I release as a student.
Yeah. I mean, that is fair, and brick filming obviously does get you a bit like that because you're the editor, you're the cinematographer, you're the director, you're the producer, And with brick films, they're quite easy to do. Like before I planned on, because eventually I do want to try and do some brick films again. But before I planned on doing brick films again, I was like going to do some skits in real life. I was talking to my mates, but I just thought to myself, man, this really isn't going to work. Like, it's so much effort to get people together, and you have to rely on people. And if one person doesn't show up, it's like over. Finished,
yeah, totally.
Kaput.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing as well. Like, I find it genuinely really hard to make anything look decent in live action because nothing comes without like having to have someone there, or having to pay someone something. And when you make a brick film, it's like you can pretty much just do anything. And I think it's the same with any animation. Like if you've got enough skill within as an animator, you can just do pretty much anything. And then like that compared to like live action where everything comes at a price, it just doesn't have the same appeal.
Bro, it comes at a massive price. I mean, low budget is like 1 million. Like that's a low budget film. $1 million to $3 million. Well, even like $10 million or pound films like that, you even think like that's insanely practical, But with brick films, it's basically a shoestring budget. Like, what has been put into the film, like, I don't know, maybe at most, I'd say someone like Forest Fire, probably £4,000 worth of equipment and paying people to help him and all that. It's not like he's having 200 million put into it. But what I love is how Forest Fire makes an amazing looking, phenomenal film on pretty much a shoestring budget. But then you've got films that have like 200 million put into them, and they're a big bag of arse. They're like boring.
Yeah. Well, it's mad. Like, the amount of money that can be put into something, and live action film, and it's still looking crap.
Yeah.
It's like even with a decent budget, it's not like any guarantee that things are going to look good. It's just, I don't know. It's just yeah, in general, I have so much more passion for like doing animation.
Yeah, yeah. I remember you told me that you wanted to like make your own like video production company. If you had the chance, would you rather like I don't know, not even video production company, would you rather be like the biggest director, Martin Scorsese, or would you rather be like Forest Fire 101 in like a perfect world? Everything works out perfectly somehow.
Yeah, honestly, I'd happily be a forest fire. Like,
Over Scorsese though, have you seen many of his films?
oh yeah, yeah, I've seen a couple of his films, but I don't know. It's just I don't know. To me, I kind of just feel like, yeah, I don't know. I kind of I like. It's hard. I don't know.
I don't blame you for picking the brick films. I wonder why.
I don't know. I just kind of. I actually, when it comes to like a professional kind of business, like the thing I'm sort of thinking about, I am thinking mostly live action, but I'm thinking mostly kind of commercial, sort of real life kind of stuff, like, advertising or that kind of thing. And, if I manage to get enough money from doing that, I then, use that to try and make something decent that's actually live action,
Yeah.
like a actual film that I want to make kind of thing.
Oh, cool. But how much money would you try and get together? Would you try and guerrilla budget it on like 30K, or would you try and get like 1 million together somehow? Or
I think realistically, you'd have to be looking at like tens of thousands. I think that's
yeah,
a more realistic,
definitely,
And
yeah.
I feel like you can do it if it's a lot, but you have to have to accept that it's not going to be like the next Marvel film. It's going to have to be kind of something more grounded and more kind of like, I guess, um, more of a kind of drama. I guess I feel like you can do you can do like a really good like character driven drama on hardly anything.
Yeah. I mean, there's the only film I can think of that is insanely low budget is Tim Roth's film called Made in Britain. I haven't actually watched it. I've heard it's a very, very odd film. Um, it's basically about Tim Roth being an absolute utter lunatic and going around kicking people and all that stuff. But I think it's given a half decent rating, and I swear, don't quote me. I'll look it up. I'm pretty sure it only costed £1,000 to make. And from the clips I've seen, it's a little bit. It isn't really my type of film because it's a little bit. I don't know. It's just a bit worrying. Like I've seen a lot of films with lunatics, but the problem is it's
Yeah.
so low. It just feels a bit. I just looked up £1,000. I'm so weird. Made in Britain. Here we go. 1982 was the budget of that a grand. Yeah, the budget was £1,000. Yeah. And
Wow.
7.3 on IMDb. I think the full film's on what's it called? Bloody I'm having a brain fart here. The full film's on YouTube. So
Oh,
yeah, it's very, very weird. I'll read the description to you. British social workers see hope for a teenage skinhead, Tim Roth, who likes to steal cars and throw bricks. I mean, what a synopsis. That is next level synopsis. But fair play, they only spent £1,000 on it and it's given a decent rating,
So, in other words, they must have actually stolen cars for that budget.
Maybe. I mean, £1,000 was a lot more in 1982 than it is now, but you
Yeah.
never know.
I mean, back then, I imagine that the budget would mostly just be like the film and stuff. If it was shown film.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
I know that there is actually. I remember hearing that there was a film that came out about 10 years ago. I can't remember what it was called. I haven't actually seen it myself, but it's like a time travel movie, I think, and it's like a blockbuster kind of film. But it had a budget of about $100,000,
oh, cool.
and it was shot on film, and they had to do every single take once in order to keep the budget.
Man, that is worrying. I mean,
Yeah.
1917, I know theirs was even more like. Have you seen 1917?
I haven't yet, no.
Oh, that was like next level. Obviously it's all filmed in one shot.
Yeah.
I mean, that they do do cuts, don't get me wrong. The whole film just isn't one long shot.
Yeah.
But that must have taken an insane amount of effort and pressure. Dean Charles Chapman and the other dude that to rehearse the script for 6 months. It was unreal. And the only weird part. Have you ever seen Gavin and Stacey? Please tell me you have. Please.
Yeah.
Yes. The Pete, Dawn's husband.
Yeah.
He was in it at the end. It was so weird to see him in it. He was like acting really serious. And I'm like, why have they picked him for it? It's so odd. You can never take him seriously at all. I mean, I know this is really off topic, but what did you think of the Christmas special last year?
I haven't seen that yet.
Oh, I thought you would have watched it, man. It is a bit of a disappointment if you're like a die-hard fan, but if you're not a die-hard fan or you haven't seen it much, the Gavin and Stacey show much, it's all right for what it is.
To be fair, I haven't watched a lot of I don't watch a lot of TV these days. I watch like Netflix and that kind of stuff, but like not. I don't really see much as what's on TV.
Yeah. What Netflix films you watched recently then?
Trying to think what I watched recently. I watched I'm Thinking of Ending Things. The Charlie Kaufman film. That was really good. I enjoyed that.
Try and get round to that event.
Also, yeah, it is quite weird, but I think it's really good. Oh yeah, actually, I watched. It was on Amazon. Knives Out. That was really good. You seen Knives Out?
Yeah. I'm sorry to say, bro, but I wasn't too keen, and I'll tell you why. I liked it at first when they were interviewing the families and all that, but then once you knew that spoilers for Knives Out, everyone, just fast forward 5 minutes. When you knew that it was the old bloke who killed himself because he thought he was poisoned, I sort of lost interest. I thought, oh, this isn't a whodunit film anymore. It sort of was, because then what's his name who played Chris Evans? You find out all the dodgy stuff with him, and that was kind of cool. Then he's like, in for a penny, in for a pound. Then he jumps on her, and then it's a fake knife.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh. and then he gets all the money. I mean, it is really sad that his whole family are bickering over money when they've all got more than enough money to live on. Like, why they're bickering over his money? And at the end of the day, they gave way more of a shit. The girl, the main character, the lead, her character gave way more shits about the old geezer than the rest of the family did. They couldn't have given a toss. I didn't like how they made that emo girl. They tried to make her really nice, and then they made her stupid by saying, "Oh, we need the money though. It's our family." And it's like, why are you trying to make this character half decent? But I suppose that adds some variety. But I liked the start. Then the end was okay, but I wasn't too keen. I was a little bit like, oh, so none of the family killed him.
Yeah.
He's an amazing director. Sorry to interrupt, but he's an amazing director, though. He did do the best episode of Breaking Bad, didn't he? Ozymandias, and that is just next level telly. Ryan Johnson. I'm pretty sure he directed.
Oh wait, he did that. Was it like one of the last episodes of Breaking Bad?
Yeah, it was. It's the only thing.
Oh, right, yeah.
It's when Hank gets shot. So.
Oh god, yeah, that episode is amazing.
I'm 99% sure it's him who directed it, and I'm thinking, you know what? Fair play to you, mate. I was really pissed off at The Last Jedi, but you know what? Fair play to you, lad. You made this amazing episode. So. And Knives Out's I'd still give it a 4 out of 5, but like a really low end 4. It's
That's
still
fair.
good.
I mean, yeah.
It's still good, but like,
I mean, again, it's like one of those sort of things. Like when it comes to like films and stuff, like people's like opinions and stuff. It's kind of like, you can't sort of like, in general, I'm very kind of like, if people don't like something or whatever, it's kind of like, well, yeah, you can't make someone like something or not like something. I think like the enjoyment of a film is so subjective that it's kind of like, I don't get why people get so angry when people kind of like disagree. I find it so weird. Like the whole like Last Jedi kind of thing. Like I totally get like if people don't like it or whatever. I mean, I personally like it, but like I totally get why people wouldn't. It's it's kind of like, you can't make someone like or dislike something. It's really weird.
I mean, fair enough if you like The Last Jedi. I sort of like Luke's arc, but half of it just got on my nerves, and I was just so bored, and I don't know. But if you like it, fair enough. I've got a lot of friends who like them and think that the sequels are great, but I personally, I find 8 and 9 really like,
Oh yeah, I mean totally. 9. Yeah. I've got a poster there. It probably takes like people probably think I like it, but I mean, I just leave it there because I can't bother to move it.
Yeah, that's fair.
But like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like episode 9 kind of brought people together because it was something everyone could dislike.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like, I don't know. It's kind of funny. Like, I feel like this is a strange thing with like, and this is pretty much the same with anything with opinions, like on the internet. You can't like sit on the fence. You've got to either think something is the best thing ever or is like a crime against humanity. So if you don't hate The Last Jedi, then you must think it's like the greatest film ever made.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, you can't just sort of think, oh yeah, actually I can see that it's super flawed, but it doesn't, ruin my enjoyment. Like that's an opinion you're not allowed to have on Twitter.
I mean, it's like Twitter's just a really toxic place. Like I hated it for years, but eventually I got it for the podcast because my mate was like, James, you need to get Twitter so we can at you in things. And I was like, all right then. And I actually really love it, to be fair. But there is a lot of toxicity with it and a lot of aggro people. But, the thing I hate the most is troll accounts. Like, originally, I didn't like putting my face in profile pictures, but now I try to because, like, even if people take the piss out of me, oh, you got a big head, oh, your eyes are slightly far apart, I don't know. I don't really care. Like, at least I got the balls to show my face, I'm not hiding behind a camera. This is who I am, what are you going to do? But there are some people who have like a fake nothing on their profile picture, odd name, like, I don't know, New York Shitter 25. And then they'd say horrible things to people. And they're just such cowards, honestly.
It's like the whole anime avatar meme.
Oh, how people like, everyone's like, Avatar Last Airbender isn't an anime.
No, I mean like the having the anime profile picture.
Oh, I haven't seen that meme.
Yeah, because there's that kind of thing that people always say about like people on Twitter, like they'll have like the anime profile pic, and they kind of like, other kind of people that would like harass people and stuff.
Yeah, I ain't seen that.
I don't know. But like, yeah, I just sort of think to a certain degree. I saw someone like a while ago say that I think it was Forrest who said like on Twitter, like if you don't have your face on profile pic, people won't take you seriously. And I kind of, to some degree, I kind of feel like there might be a reason why you want to have some level of privacy. So I kind of, again, it's one of those sort of things I'm a bit on the fence on, because it's kind of like there might be a reason why you don't have. I mean, if you use anonymity to be a dick, then that's just being a coward. But like if there's like, if you might be sharing an opinion that, I don't know, a government or whatever might not like, or not to get political, but I mean like there might be, you never know like why someone might be trying to hide their identity.
It does depend where you live. I mean, places like the UK, America, you can pretty much slate any government if you want. People get a bit pissed, but it's whatever. But other countries, if you slate the government, I mean, you might get shot. So I sort of do understand. But there's just some people I've had experiences with in the past who, like, they say loads about their lives and all that, but then they're too scared. They're like shit on people and say, "Oh, I've got the best job ever. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I've got the best life ever. Blah blah. You're all stupid." And then they don't even show their face. They're too scared to show their face. But they'll make fun of other people, how they look or what they do for being honest. And it's like, well,
it does kind of remind me of. Have you seen like those Instagram pages where like people? It's this whole kind of like entrepreneur, how to be a successful man kind of thing.
Oh no!
And it's kind of like these. Do you know, it's like have you ever seen like the weird, like, you've got these like inspirational quotes but with the Joker, like why? Like it's all about like being a successful businessman, and like, but the Joker, the guy that burns money, who knows? But like but like it's all about like, a successful man doesn't need a woman, that kind of stuff. But then the next post will be like, a successful man has a successful family. So how, I don't know.
I mean, that is weird. Really? I mean, they could have worded that better. They could have said, you should be happy on your own and happy with someone else. Or they could have said, like,
Yeah.
you know, as long as you're happy, you don't, like, families aren't essential, but they're good to have. But, like, you know, you should just do what makes you happy, I guess. So it's
But
your...
like, but on top of it, but when they say that, it's also kind of this whole thing of like, but you don't know who these people are.
Oh, yeah, true.
These people that are kind of like these sort of self-help people are probably kind of like really not the people that like, because I mean their advice isn't good, so they're probably not the most sort of like sort of the people that you should be kind of listening to, and you know, this kind of thing. Like I feel like in general, and I think this is kind of the case, like if anyone who kind of is a little not very confident in themselves and like I don't know, in terms of like socializing with people, like don't try and use like some sort of self-help kind of like Reddit or anything like that, because usually that's like how people end up being like really socially awkward.
Yeah. I mean, Mike said something really this bloke called Mike on the Impulsive podcast. I am a bit of a Logan Paul fan, but I wasn't always. If you go back on like previous podcasts, I did shit on him. But as soon as he had one of my favorite boxers, Ryan Garcia, on there, I was like, this bloke seems all right on his podcast. But anyway, there's this dude on there called Mike, his best friend, and he was like, people say to me, why am I so good at networking? Always smile, always go like, and it's like, well, that might work for you and the famous YouTube elite, but if you smile at the average Joe at like uni, they're going to think, are you all right, mate? Have you just smoked something, you know? And it's like, what works for some really... Now, Mike, he wasn't always rich. He's had loads of bad stuff happen to him. He was a drug addict, and he only met Logan Paul by luck, and he only became friends with him by luck. It wasn't like Logan rolled up to him and said, oh, do you want to live in my mansion with me and be on my podcast and my videos? Yeah. It wasn't like he had to go through a lot of stuff to get where he is, but when you're in a really comfortable position and you're the YouTube elite, it's a lot easier to just like, I don't know, smile at another YouTube elite, like with a weird grin, like, you know, like be like, oh, smile at you or whatever. But I suppose you could, because the problem is if you smile at some people, they think, what the fuck's wrong with this guy? You know?
I know, like I couldn't imagine, like I always see these like posts, like, you know, inspirational quotes like on Facebook or whatever, like the way to make someone's day is to smile at strangers. Like that is really not, like, you just look like a creep if you do that.
Yeah, I mean, you can smile a bit or whatever, but like, you know, it's just I guess like at workplaces, a lot of people seem to smile, but I suppose it's when you're dealing with the public and whatever. But like in a bar, if you walk past someone, you're not going to be like, oh, cooey. You know, you're not going to do that. So,
well, luckily, you know, nowadays when everyone has to wear a mask, you can be as miserable as you want, and no one will know.
Yeah.
So.
You can be going like and like making stupid faces under the mask or whatever. So, but I was going to say though, man, even though I was slating like Mike a little bit for his networking advice, what is your advice for networking with like brick filmers and all that?
What do you think? I mean, I guess like just it's hard to say. I'd say that probably with people in general, like from my experience personally, like talking to people like Forrest and like Ed Bound or whatever, like it often feels like you get this kind of like nervousness of like of asking them to be on your podcast, because there is this kind of feeling of like, does this, I mean, I'm only like a brick film with like, you know, a few hundred subscribers or anything. Like I'm trying to talk to like, you know, like the god of brick filming, whatever. It's kind of a bit scary. But I think in general, like, I'd say that like the brick film community in general is generally made up of nice people.
Pretty much.
And I think like just kind of like being willing to kind of get yourself out there and just sort of just having just to talk to some people and, you know, within the community and stuff. And you'll find that there is this kind of sense of kind of like togetherness, like, if that makes sense. I don't know if that's much of advice, but I guess there is a kind of a thing that I kind of came across whilst doing the podcast, is that people in general are kind of within the book filming community are generally just sort of nice. I don't think they sort of think of like the views and subscribers as like, I don't think it makes them feel like they're the next, like, you know, Logan Paul or Jake Paul or anything like that, you know.
I mean, you see some of these people, man, and they've only got like a few thousand subs. And I think I said this to Ed Bound on the one I did with him. I was like, there's some people that are in the machinima community, and they think they're Martin Scorsese. They think they're the best thing to happen to filmmaking. And it's like, you're pretty good, but you're not Martin Scorsese. But the thing is, Forest Fire, he would have the right to think he's Martin Scorsese because he's an utter genius with that stuff. But he never does. He's quite laid back with his like ego. He's just like, yep, I've done this, blah, 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 blah. Yep. Like, he's not like, I'm the fucking king, you know. He's not like that at all. He's really like laid back. Which I admire that really, because like success usually makes people have massive egos, but he seems like really just chilled.
Mm. I mean, I think there's like one thing you were saying before about like, you know, like me being quite sort of chill, talking to like people like Forrest, and I think a lot of it is just kind of like, you're when you're like talking to someone, the confidence kind of bounces between people, and if someone is kind of nice, if someone's chill, and you know, you get to sort of like talk beforehand, and you get to sort of like have a warm up conversation, you kind of get a sense of like, you know, you know if someone is kind of thinks they're like, you know, the next Scorsese, or if they you know, they are just sort of wholesome and sort of just a genuinely nice person. Yeah. And you can kind of get that quite quickly, I think. And I feel like with people like Forrest, I kind of got that. I felt like, you know, he seems like a really genuine guy, and it makes me more confident in just being able to just kind of, you know, it just makes you feel more chill. You know, you just feel like you're just having a conversation with a friend rather than someone who's, you know, like this, like, you know, got million subscribers and, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not knocking most YouTubers, but I feel like if most people tried to talk to anyone over 1 million subs, the people would just be like, oh, you know, really big-headed, really all about themselves, and just like, oh, blah, blah, yeah, I'm the best thing ever. But Forrest, as I say, is just really chilled. Because it seems like Forrest is one of the few people that actually interacts with his community on the live streams that has like over 1 million subs. Like other YouTubers, like you wouldn't see... I mean, I get that they're famous and it's really hard for them, but you wouldn't see like KSI, Logan Paul, Mr. Beast, Morgs, Will and E sitting there reading what their fans saying. Oh, hello, mate. Oh, yep. I'll answer this question. But mind you, their chats would be flying and flying and flying and flying and flying.
Oh, yeah.
You think they're about to reply a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not in their shoes. I'm not some famous YouTube million subs person, but like, I don't know. You always think to yourself, like, oh, if I ever become famous, I'll do it the right way. I'll talk to the fans. I'll be like, hey, what's going on, lads? Hey, all the time. But it's hard to talk when you're not in their shoes. But if Forrest can be really interactive with the fans, why can't other people? Why does there have to be like... It just feels like there's a YouTube elite, you know, who just all bother with each other and aren't really bothered about the people below.
Yeah. I know, it is kind of weird. I think in a lot of ways, there is probably this whole kind of thing of like, for a lot of people, they kind of struggle with like the amount of kind of, you know, people that kind of contact them, and it gets this kind of point where they don't know kind of like how to reply, I suppose. I don't know. It's kind of weird.
Yeah. Actually, that is a good counter argument, because I just thought to myself, there's this one dude called Cosmodor who talks about animations. And he says, when you're famous, like, you get really anxious because you're like, why is this person talking to me? Do they just are they just talking to me because I'm famous? Do they actually care about me? But you've sort of got to think to yourself, who really cares? Like, it's easy to suss out sleazies who are just bothered about fame, because it depends what they talk about. If they actually take an interest in things and ask you about general stuff and whatever, they're probably genuine. But if they're just like, oh, blah, 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 you know, babbling on about nonsense and fanboying out, and you can just tell. I know that's not a good example, but you can just like tell, you know.
Yeah.
But have you ever been in like? Have you ever been in any other communities apart from brick filming community, or like before you was in the brick filming community, or?
Not really. Like, well, especially not before. Really, like brick film community was kind of like the first kind of like big thing I kind of joined, because It's kind of funny, really, because so I only really started using the internet around 2015. Like I said before, I think I used to live like abroad and stuff, and we always just kind of like me and my family, we always just kind of used we did like internet cafes. I don't
Okay.
know if you remember those, or like going to a library to use the internet there and stuff. And
You didn't have internet in your house in Bulgaria.
no,
Oh, so
we ended up.
internet
Well, actually, it was quite mad because so when we lived in Bulgaria, we had to go to like we had to take the bus to because we lived in a village, kind of like not really that near anywhere, and I think the nearest town was like about 3 miles away.
cool.
We'd have to take a bus to go to the town, and I think like once a week we'd go on the internet, and it was kind of like once we moved back to the UK, we started using I don't know if you heard of a dongle, but it's like a USB stick that has like a limited amount of internet on it, and because at the time we didn't really like actually I don't know if I want to talk about like financial situations.
No.
but but like to save money, basically we used the dongle because it was cheaper, and it was a bit like it was with Orange or like EE. So it was kind of like like a phone contract. You had like a limited amount of data per month.
Yeah.
And we still used it when I started uploading on YouTube. And I remember I used to actually, if you watch my old videos, you'll see how kind of they're quite low res. They look like they're from like 2005, even though they're like a few years ago. But like, it was because I used to deliberately downgrade the quality so that I could upload them without using up too much data.
Okay.
And and we finally got broadband in 2015, and that was the first time I properly kind of like gone online, regularly. And yeah, I think Bricks in Motion was just like the first thing I came across, and pretty much the last thing I came across. So like, there's not really been any like major communities I've been a part of, really. Like brick filming has pretty much taken up like all my time online.
Yeah. So in Bulgaria, not having Wi-Fi and social media, has that helped you all mentally, like just as a person?
Well, it's kind of funny because like we didn't really have internet before that either, because I mean I was like 5 when we left, I was like 6. So back then, like 2005, 2006, not everyone had the internet. Like I mean there was obviously, I think most people did have the internet, but it was still kind of like not something that everyone had. And I mean basically I'm a 90s kid that was born in 2000.
Yeah.
Because I mean I spent all my spare time as a kid like watching VHS tapes and that kind of stuff, rewinding. I used to get my sister to rewind videos so that I could watch them again because I couldn't be bothered to rewind them myself.
Oh.
Every stuff like that. I just rewatch the same like videos over and over again, and it'd be things like Shrek 1 and 2. I used to watch them over and over again, and Matilda. Have you ever seen Matilda?
I have, yeah. It's a very. I get. Look, it's cool if it's a childhood memory, but
Yeah,
very odd.
I know. I get that it's quite weird. I still
Very
love it
odd
because of
mistake.
like nostalgia.
Well, like
But
some of the
like,
shots, the people are right in the camera like this, and it's like, what's going on?
yeah,
What am I watching?
yeah, it is quite weird. But like, yeah, I mean, so I used to watch loads of films and stuff, and but yeah, I mean, this has kind of gone on a bit of a tangent because we were talking about internet, but but yeah, we just didn't. It wasn't like unusual for me. Like, I didn't. It wasn't like, oh, suddenly we didn't have the internet. It was kind of like that was just kind of like life at the time. But we kind of once we came back by like 2010, it was kind of like everyone had the internet by that point. So it was quite weird. We kind of like, it was a bit of a disconnect. No pun intended, but with like I remember in Bulgaria we used to have so the TV there, we didn't have a satellite TV. We just had like like yeah, but like we only had like two channels. They only had two channels there, and it was like I remember one channel used to show English language films like on the weekends, and that'd be like we'd have like the movie night at the weekend. And it would be either subtitled or dubbed, um, but that would be like we just like sit down, all together as a family, watch like whatever was on TV out of the two channels, and we just used to watch like lots of DVDs and stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember one year, the TV just sort of just like stopped working, and we ended up just having to use our computer all the time without any internet. So we just had to listen to music and play games and stuff, like like card games and stuff.
Is that how you became an ELO fan?
Not really, because funny enough, I mean, I used to listen to a lot of music, when I was a kid in Bulgaria, but I didn't really listen to a lot of music up until I was about 17. I used to listen to, well, yeah, I didn't actually listen to a lot of music. I used to listen to soundtrack music, and that was pretty much it. But like, I started to listen to like Spotify and stuff around 2017. And I kind of went back to listening to stuff when I was a kid, like rediscovering a lot of stuff. And ELO was, I think it was just like one of the things that was recommended on Spotify.
Oh, nice.
But like,
a lot of people. I was going to say a lot of people that I've shown ELO to, they're just like, I don't understand it. They're like, but I'm like, listen to the sound they're making. There is so much going on in their songs. Just listen to the sound of the lyrics. And then they're like, no, sorry, back to grime. See you, mate.
Like they're I think that they really appeal to people who like, like production, like, the production of a song. There's so much like, going on. And I think, I remember when I first discovered ELO, and I listened to it out of the blue all the time. I was like obsessed with it. And like particularly Turn to Stone, that's like one of my favorite ELO songs.
Banger.
And it's funny because because I've actually in my next film, which actually I think it's gonna come out in the next couple of weeks. Actually, I've almost finished editing it now as Atman episode 6, and I'm going to I've actually got Turn to Stones in the film.
Oh,
like in a fight sequence, and it's so funny because even after like all all these years, I was listening to it as I'm like editing, and I discover stuff in the song that I'd never like noticed before. There's so many layers to it, like there's so much like, just sound and just like instrumentals and like they're a really good band.
Yeah, I mean, there's people that come along and just innovate things like compared to what's around in their time. So like someone like, I don't know, Elvis, music wasn't really that fast paced, and then he came along with his rock, King of Rock, whatever, Jailhouse Rock and Suspicious Minds and Return to Sender and all them decent songs. But like ELO, I know they're not as well known as someone like the Beatles or Queen. As much as I love the Beatles, I think the only thing that got them really popular was just the haircut, to be honest. If I'm being brutally honest. Like the music's amazing. I personally love it, but if it wasn't for the haircut, I don't think as many people would care. But like ELO, it just feels like the sound that they make is just beautiful,
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel like with the Beatles, it's like I'm a big fan, but it's kind of like if it weren't for the last like 4 years, no one would remember them.
Yeah.
But like ELO, it's kind of like they do get compared to the Beatles quite a lot, but I feel like they did so much more. Like I think they're as impressive as the Beatles, but they're just not as recognized.
Yeah. Thing is, with the Beatles, though, they made some weird-ass songs, like bloody I Am the Walrus. What the hell's that all about?
Yeah.
Like, Bohemian Rhapsody probably confused people when that came out for Queen, but, like, I Am the Walrus, who the hell? Why would you think of that jargon? That absolute...
Like Wild Honey Pie and like, Revolution 9. Like, yeah.
There are some good weird ones though, like Strawberry Fields Forever and Across the
totally.
And Across the Universe is a good weird one. And,
I mean that's like one of my favorite ones. Like the only thing that gripes me, and it's the issue with like the album in general, is the production. Like it's just the like sound quality just doesn't do it justice. And there's an anthology album of like an alternative version of Across the Universe, which is so much better
Yeah.
because it's just got better sound quality.
Okay. Trying to
But
think
yeah,
what
like
songs. There was I am the not sorry, not I am the Walrus. Lucy in the Sky Diamonds and come
oh
together.
yeah,
Come Together's lyrics were mental. They're
oh
absolutely
yeah.
mental. And I wondered how he
Well,
came up with it. And he
it's funny.
wrote a load of gibberish down.
It's funny because the first time I heard "Come Together," I thought it was like a Rolling Stones song because it has that kind of feel.
Yeah.
But like, I actually really like Sgt. Pepper's the album. My brother actually, because I'm really into vinyl, and my brother last year he gave me his entire vinyl collection,
Okay.
and he get in amongst like the records there were the first 4 albums by Led Zeppelin, and also Sgt. Pepper's as well. So that was really cool.
Have you ever listened to Pink Floyd?
Oh yeah, big fan. Yeah, I think "Wish You Were Here" is like one of my favorite albums.
Mm. What is the weirdest Pink Floyd song for you?
Ooh, I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of their early stuff is quite weird.
Isn't there one
I
about
think
the band member who was on loads of acid and they lost it, like he lost his mind?
Oh, Sid Barrett.
Yeah.
I think that's well, there's I think "Wish You Were Here" is pretty much just like about him.
Oh.
The album because there's this "Shine On You Crazy Diamond," which is like a 30-minute long piece that's kind of split into 2. Like that's actually because so that song is actually my favorite Pink Floyd song, even though it's like mostly instrumental, but it's quite a sort of depressing song because it's mostly just about like losing like their friend through just kind of like his mental state,
He did all them drugs when he was like famous and he had the money and the success and still, I don't know,
yeah,
lost his
well,
mind.
it's a really sad story because I know that he at one point ended up just in the streets and stuff,
Oh.
like homeless, and
He's still alive
which is something. No, I think he died.
Did
He
he?
died a few years ago. Yeah, but there's a few like. Are you at all like into Fleetwood Mac?
No, not at all with them. Sorry.
Yeah,
I don't
because
really about them.
because there's like a couple of band members from like the early years who kind of ended up getting nowhere. Like I think there was a guy called Danny Kerwin who he ended up homeless.
No.
And he died a couple of years ago. But it's like it's just so mad because you think of like when you think of Fleetwood Mac, you think of those like the big like few that are like really famous. But like there are a few band members like everyone forgets about who just sort of like did not have that success.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, actually, like the early Fleetwood Mac is like it's really underrated compared to like the stuff that everyone knows. Like, yeah, a lot of their stuff is kind of like blues and just a bit sort of more interesting, I think.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of Spandau Ballet?
Yeah, I know them a bit. Like I used to listen to them a bit, like in Bulgaria and stuff.
Yeah. Well, do you know how the band ended?
No.
Basically, there's 2 brothers in the band, and the one of them wrote the songs, the Kemp brothers, Gary and Martin. I'm pretty sure their names are. And they basically was like, "Oh, we want all the royalties," and then they took them to court, and they won the court case. And then the band basically split up for years and years and years and years. And the main singer, the tall dude, Tony Hadley, and the other 2 were basically touring at like holiday places like Butlins and all that, and Park Resort and whatever. And because I feel like because Tony Hadley saw both sides of fame, he saw being in the shitter, not being successful, and people not caring about him, and he was like insanely famous before. I think that's like made him quite a level-headed, humble person. Because he's one of the most humble musicians ever. Like there's people out there like Bono, and he's the biggest idiot in the world. He's honestly, I know YouTube have all these rules like, oh, you can't be personal to people. And I'm not being personal. This is a valid criticism. He's so big-headed. Like, South Park made an episode about him wanting the biggest crap in the world. And, like, I remember when they redid the, the Do They Know It's Christmas, he was like, I want to sing the chorus. And I'm like, this is the new version, you idiot! Like, for God's sake, I can't stand people who are that big-headed, man.
Like, there's always, there's always this stuff like people like Bono, like they make a big thing about like being, oh yeah, I give all this money to charity and stuff. But I remember there was a story where he spent, like, he paid someone like millions of pounds or something, some crazy shit like that, because he left his hat on the plane. So he paid someone to give it back to him or something like that. I can't remember the story.
Really, really, really. I mean, fair play. Look, if he gives money to charity, fair play. But like, if he's got millions, like, the thing is, the only person who I think has the right to boast is someone like George Lucas, who sold Star Wars for $4 billion and gave all that to charity. I know he had enough money to live on, but it's not like Bono has $4 billion and he gave most of that to charity. And George Lucas isn't going, oh, look at me, I gave $4 billion to charity. Oh, I'm such a hero. You know, he's not battling. So what gives Bono the right to say, oh, look at me, I'm the best thing ever?
But like, yeah, I don't know. I have this kind of thing, like, with, I don't know if you're the same, but because I think in Britain in particular, there seems to be a really big thing about, like, I mean, Britain loves celebrities for some reason. I don't really get it. but like, there's this like really big like thing about like these charity events. You have like Red Nose Day, and you've got like children in need and stuff. And although I do genuinely believe that these things are good, like, giving money to charity and stuff. But I do think a lot of it is a lot of bullshit, because it's just an excuse for celebrities to go, oh, look how great I am. I'm doing all this stuff, which, I'm raising money, which I've got enough money myself that I don't have to actually raise money, but I'm making other people give me money so that I can give them charity. Yeah. And then I get all the credit. Yeah. That's the thing in general, though. Like, I get like the whole thing of like someone setting up this like fundraising thing so they look good, but then don't actually have to do any of the work themselves.
I mean,
it's like,
thing is, if you do something good, I understand wanting gratitude, but you don't need to make it public and tell the whole world. Just tell your loved ones or some close friends, you know. Don't be like, whoa, look at me, I donated to charity. Well then, I mean, everyone does good deeds, anyone can boast about anything. Look at what paramedics do, they boasting every day about everything. No.
And like, what's the point of like, stuff like the celebrity version of like quiz shows where they literally just, the people that win get to just give that money away, which they could just do anyway.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I do like seeing celebrities on quiz shows, because it is good banter to see them go up against the chaser or see how well they do on Millionaire.
Yeah,
they could just give that money to charity anyway. But I just like seeing how smart they are. I mean, some of them are actually surprisingly intelligent, but some of them are like, bloody hell.
No, I mean, it is quite funny to see, like, who's actually smart, who's not. Like.
Yeah, definitely.
It's quite eye-opening.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of celebrities think they know everything, but they just don't. If you're in cuckoo land, unlike with all these other celebrities, you're not in the real world, really.
Yeah. I mean, not to kind of like be too kind of like negative towards people that like do well or anything, like be successful, but I do generally think that a lot of their success is just luck.
Yeah, it depends.
The difference between us and them is just luck, like.
It depends, really, because there is a lot of hard work that goes into certain things. If it's like a one-off, say if someone has one big hit or one big video or they act well in one big film, you can say that's luck. But if they're doing things consistently and they're becoming more and more successful, and they keep pumping out good films, or they keep acting in good films and whatever, if they're consistent, you've got to rate them, really. It's like a fighter who wins a title and legs it, or compared to a fighter who defends his title 10 times,
I mean, I guess it is. They do have to rely on their likability. Their being likable in order to
True,
still survive. So, I mean, as well, like, I don't know. I think it's as much to do with like people that follow celebrities as much as the celebrities themselves. Anyway,
yeah.
when it comes to like the obsession with them. But yeah,
I
I
mean,
just think that there's real like I feel like there's like real world heroes all the time that don't get to be on TV,
yeah, exactly. Like, the army, nurses, police, firemen, all them, busting their
Yeah.
ass. They're not getting the credit, but like, people who fart on a camera on a reality show are they're like the best thing ever. It's like, man, why don't you try and do a hard job then instead? Like I could go on Big Brother and like fart about and go, oh, I hate this person, I'm gonna snake this person, but like it doesn't mean you're like the most talented person ever.
Yeah. I think that's why people kind of get a little bit kind of cringe when like someone famous tries to sort of talk about something serious.
Oh yeah.
Like do you remember like when when these like Hollywood actors did the Imagine cover?
Oh dear.
and everyone was just like, oh no, please just don't.
I mean, whatever makes them happy, but like that was very, very, very odd. That was really.
Yeah.
I mean, if that world that they want to imagine existed, which fair enough if that's what you want, whatever, they wouldn't be famous. They wouldn't be rich and famous. There'd just be nothing going on. It'd be quite boring. I'm not trying to. If you love Imagine, I like the song as well. But like, if there's nothing to live for, then you're gonna be pretty bored. Because he said, well, the way John Lennon put it, he was like nothing to kill or die for. But like, if you have nothing to like do, or I'm not saying you should kill anyone. You know what I mean? It's like just
Well, it's like no,
the world
I do think though.
was just quite boring.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's kind of like it's a song. It's quite fun. It's a weird. It's quite funny, really. 'Cause I think people. I think it doesn't work. The song doesn't work if you take it like literally.
Yeah,
I think what he's trying to say, because I've like kind of like watched like I've seen like video analysis and stuff on the song. I think the thing that I kind of get out of it is that he's not saying that things. I mean, he's sort of saying things would be great without these things, but I think he's mostly saying this is a list of all the things that divide people, and if we don't kind of like, if we don't fixate and kind of make all of these things just like our entire personality, we can see that we're all kind of like people that can kind of we have so much in common. We have this like world that we can share kind of thing. I think that's kind of what I kind of get out of it, I suppose.
yeah. I mean, I do really like the song. Don't get me wrong, but it's like just sounds a bit boring. But I think I'm guessing. I don't know what was going on in his head, but I'm guessing it came from a good place. I hope it did anyway. So
Yeah.
but back to brick filming though. I was going.
Yeah, I mean, it's been.
What is the hardest edit that you've ever done?
Well, this film I'm doing right now is like actually kind of the hardest thing I've ever edited. Because so it's Ant-Man episode 6. There's just like so much sound. I know that's kind of a dumb thing to say, but like I don't know, like in the past I had quite a limited amount of like sound like skill, and I didn't really kind of understand like the whole kind of concepts of like there's a lot of concepts of sound design that I didn't really know that well.
Yeah.
And I think like one of the experiences I have got out of university is like understanding, I guess, the importance of sound design, but also just like talking to people on within the brick film community about it. Like over recently with this film, I've been talking to Tricker Brick. I don't know if you know Tricker Brick.
Cool. Yeah, I do, man. I remember he's been mentioned quite a few times, and I watched his videos, and he doesn't do many videos, but he's quite a genius. They are quite artistic. And
yeah.
They feel like a real film, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. And like, I think he's like, if you want to study sound design, he's kind of like, his sound design is like some of the best like example you ever see within brick filming.
Yeah.
And so I really trusted him. So I showed him like a rough cut of the film. and he gave me some really brilliant advice about just like how I can go ahead with like the rest of the film and stuff. So that's really helped. But yeah, for sure, this has been like the longest like edit I've ever done, and I think it's like I definitely did think I'd be finished by now, and I'm like 90% there. But yeah, it's been kind of like the most difficult edit I think I've ever had to do.
Do you reckon it's the best thing you've done then, stop motion wise?
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. I think so, yeah, because I mean, it's like 2 years of work. Yeah, actually, I haven't explained this, but like, so basically, I don't know if you've seen the other Atman films I've done.
I've only seen. I'm sorry, but I've only seen the latest one. Wasn't it like ago?
Yeah, episode 5. Well, to be fair, that's quite a good sort of starting point because, like, so this is like season 2 of Atman, and it's kind of like a soft reboot in a way.
Okay.
Because the older ones are kind of like they're still connected, but it's kind of like they're a bit rougher. Whereas this can be a sort of entry point in some ways, but like so this is like a continuation of that story. And originally, I had planned this to be one whole episode, but I think it was like in like the June of 2018, like mid 2018, where I kind of realized that it was just going to be far too long. So I split it into 2, and to spin a lot of delays through like being in university and then doing other projects as well. So this film, some of it's quite mad. Like there's like one shot will be from like early 2018, and then the following shot will be like 2 weeks ago. So it's quite funny. But it all kind of flows in quite well. But within that, I feel like there's a lot of techniques within animation that I've improved. So
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, there's like 2018 me followed by like the 2020 me, and I can sort of personally see that there's like some difference there. Although I'm happy with it all, like in general. I think it's kind of cool. I think I think there's definitely parts of it that are some of the best stuff I've done.
Oh, cool. As I say, I really like that loop, like TV one. That was.
Yeah, great.
I really that. I don't know why it made me laugh with like taking the mick out of the Big Bang Theory, because I used to love that when I was 14. From 14 to like 18, I thought it was a great show, but then I realised all the show had become is like people, everyone mocking everyone throwing jabs at each other, Stuart getting shat on, and shit jokes all the time. It just got so boring.
Yeah, I just like it kind of funny because like I for ages I kind of I really enjoyed it. I really liked it, but like the moment that I heard someone say the jokes are basically either someone making fun of people making fun of each other, science or pop culture, and they're literally all the 3 jokes that they do, and then after that I couldn't watch another episode of Big Bang Theory without thinking, it literally is just that.
Thor and Dr. Jones was all right banter though. You got to give that.
Yeah. But like over time, and I don't think it's like a terrible show. Like I think people over exaggerate just how bad it is. I think at least started off alright, but I think over time the characters become less likable.
Yeah,
and it gets to the point where they're just not nice people.
Sheldon's just
at the end of it.
Leonard just makes fun of everyone. Raj is an okay guy, and Howard, I mean, originally he was a pervert, but then he just became a arsehole. So
yeah,
which both is not good things. Have you ever watched any classic comedies like Fools and Horses and all that jazz? Or
yeah, I mean, I've watched a few. Like I used to watch. I've seen Dad's Army. Have you seen that?
I've seen bits and pieces. It's decent banter, but
yeah. I really like Blackadder. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I've seen bits and pieces of that.
Because my dad...
I'm a massive casual, just to warn you with it, but I've seen bits and pieces.
I'm like, so this is the thing I always like to tell people, because it's always got a funny story, but my dad is actually in an episode of Big Bang Theory, Blackadder, because he used to be an actor in the 80s, and he played, I don't know if you've ever seen this episode, but he played William Pitt the Younger in Blackadder the Third.
No.
But if you see the clips on YouTube or whatever, like you can see it. He looks like me. It's scary.
Oh. Time traveler, Doctor Who action here. Nah, but
I watched a few other. that was kind of like the main thing he was in. Like he
Okay.
used to be in. I don't know if you heard of Grange Hill.
No.
Because that was like a show set in a school. He used to be like a background character in that. He was
Okay.
also he was an extra in EastEnders when it started.
Oh, fair play to him then.
He was like, I think he was like a student in the same school as like Ross Kemp.
Nice. That's pretty
So
cool.
he's in a few episodes of that. So yeah, mostly school mostly students he played.
Mhm.
He was just like like an extra and stuff.
What made him give it up?
I think it's just like because it's just such an unstable kind of job. Like in general, like 1 minute you're in loads of stuff and then like you're not. You know, it's kind of weird. I think because he was like a teenager when he was doing most of like the most stuff. So it's kind of like he was like the teenage actor, and
Yeah.
then once you're no longer the teenage actor, it's kind of like you don't automatically become an actor for other things. It's quite weird. And I
Yeah.
think it's just a lot of stuff. Like I think a lot of people who are actors would say the same. It's kind of that whole thing of like going like traveling to the other side of the UK to go to an audition just to
Like,
find that you're in like a whole room full of loads of other people. You go to the audition and you can tell that you didn't get the part, and it's just like that over and over again to the point where it just becomes you just get a little bit sort of like you kind of lose the passion for it,
what does he think of
and
you? What does he think of you doing like film? Does he think it's a good path to go down, or is he like, bro, take it easy? Or
he's usually I mean he's generally really supportive.
ah,
Like he's actually voice acted in a couple of my films,
oh,
my older films. um yeah, in general he's really supportive of it. And uh funny enough, because I was saying about like the sound design and stuff, he actually helped with doing sound effects for footsteps actually in my film.
yeah.
So so he's had some involvement in this film as well.
hmm So, if you was ever going to do any other content, what would it be? Like, if you just lost the passion for brick filming and all that jazz, and podcasting.
um well, I quite like, I guess, film reviews and stuff like that. Channels to talk about film reviews, I really
Yeah.
enjoy. I'd probably just do something that kind of resembles like the stuff that I watch on YouTube. So
Okay.
I watch a lot of videos about films and stuff. I also like a lot of people who kind of just talk about like they're kind of like commentary channels, but like I don't know if you know like Danny Gonzalez and like people like that, but like that kind of stuff I quite like as well, where they kind of just like talk about, well, just stuff like that whole thing of like inspirational quotes with the Joker and just like making fun of them, just
Yeah.
stuff like that. I just find really funny.
Fair play. Just so safe, right? You like there was no more brick filmers that you could get on your podcast. Would you do any with just you and Penta talking about general stuff or talking about certain things with brick filming or?
Um, I think if it got to the point where we like really run out of brick filmers, we probably just like bring back a lot of brick filmers
Oh, cool.
from before.
That's really cool.
But even if we just ended up becoming a podcast where it was just like the same like three guys, it would probably be something that people want to listen to, I suppose.
It depends. I mean, you guys seem like you bounce off each other really well, you and Penta, and you bounced off well, in my opinion, bounced off the guests that I've seen on there pretty well.
Yeah.
Especially, bro, I'm not even just trying to be nice here. The podcast with James Coward and BP, that was like, you all bounced off each other really well. The banter was next level. I love
Yeah.
when he brought up Bimpson and you was like, oh, what? Oh, I don't get that. And then he was like, funny joke. And it was like, but
Yeah.
that one, you guys bounced off each other really well. I think you could keep it going. It depends, really. It depends if the guests are down. and you know, and if there's other stuff to talk about, like if you have a guest on like 5 years ago, and then they want to come on 5 years later, there'd surely be a lot to talk about if they've kept up the brick filming, you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, I like filmy guy, you know, Sean Willits. Like he's like several times that he's like, well, like, a couple of times he's like contacted me and said, "Oh, I'd like to be on your show again." Like, and honestly, you know, I'd love to have someone like him again, you know, on the podcast. Like, I don't know, it's kind of like, to be honest, I really didn't think I'd be still making like the podcast now. Like 2 years later, I really didn't think it'd be something that people would continue to listen to. I kind of thought that we'd do like, I don't know, a few episodes and then like, oh yeah, we had a fun one, and that would be kind of like, let's sort of wrap it up. But like people, I think the longer we continued, the more people really sort of grew to like it. And I think we got to the point where we kind of thought there's no like end date for this. We can just keep going. And you know, we don't have that consistent like schedule anymore, but I don't think people mind. Like I was saying before, I think it's that whole thing of, you know, I think quality over quantity is definitely something that appeals to the brick film community. And I think that, you know, actually the less frequently we do make a podcast, the more special it becomes. So,
because everyone,
yeah, I feel like people just, yeah, I think as long as people continue to enjoy them, I think we'll keep doing them.
It works really well though, because you're obviously, you know, you do a lot of the talking and the conversations and all that. I know Penta does as well, but like he's more like the knowledge bloke, you know. He's like an encyclopedia of brick films, every single. I just can't believe how much he knows. I remember asking him on Discord, who's your personal favourite brick filmer? And he was telling me all these people, and I had no idea who they were. And I was like, man, this dude's knowledge is next level. Obviously, I said, who do you think the best is? And he was like, Mind Game and Sean Willits. I know who they are, but like, it's amazing how much he knows. And he's done, like, obviously, as you know, like full documentaries on, like he's made full.
Oh yeah, I know, they're amazing.
Things.
Like he actually was a big help because I was talking about the timeline series I did that kind of led up to the podcast, and that was actually, so it was 1973 to like 2017, and it was called A World of Brickfilms. It was like a 2-part series. And it was kind of just like, you know, a kind of compilation of like really notable brick films throughout the years. And I got a lot of help from Penta with like ones that I needed to add. So I mean, he was a big help for that as well. And yeah, I feel like I like having him as a like the sort of co-host is like, yeah, he's like the perfect for that, you know, because a lot of it is centered around the history of brick films.
Yeah.
There's no better, like, you know, co-host to have for that kind of, you know, because I'm just a guy who kind of is I mean, you know, compared to Penta, I always feel like I'm kind of a newcomer, even though I've been around for like a few years now. It kind of still feels like I'm the guy who just joined the chat, you know. And yeah, I mean, it's funny though. It's funny that you say that. I was like, you know, I do a lot of the talking, because I quite often feel like I'm the person who does the least amount of talking.
Well, I don't know. It just feels like you bounce off the guests at first, and then like obviously they do talk about their stuff, and then Sean gives some cool cheeky facts and all that stuff, and then you come back and say, compare something that you've done to what they've, like, this is how, like I don't know how to explain it, but like if they say something, like you'll come back and say, oh yeah, I get what you mean, because I can relate to that because of X, Y, and Z in my brick film.
Yeah.
So like you give good comparisons, and then Sean will give some cool knowledge again, and then the guest will say what they're saying. It just bounces really well, as I say.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because we really, you know, we kind of came up with the kind of structure of the podcast out of nothing, really, because we don't really have a script or anything like that. We don't even list our questions.
Oh, bloody hell.
Yeah, because literally it got to the point where like we kind of realized that things are just more like become more natural if there's not even like a kind of pattern. So everything is unscripted. We the only thing that we kind of always like structure is we know that we have to have like the showcase, but outside out of that though, like because the better we've got at doing the podcasts, the more it's naturally flowed into its own sort of structure, I think.
Yeah.
So
but I haven't really got any more questions left. I'm just going to check what I wrote, what I typed down. Oh, if I can't think of any more questions. Oh, here we go. Would you has uni helped you brick filming much? That was some.
Yeah, I do think that in a big part, I mean, uni has helped my brick films much more than it's helped me do live action films. Yeah, like, and it's one of the things I mean, I already did understand the importance of like pre-production beforehand, but I really understand like just how integral it is now. Like, I couldn't imagine not making a film without a storyboard or like a shot list, some sort of plan of like how it's going to flow. And that's thanks to the uni. And I also just kind of just got to understand like, how to edit a film. So pretty much everything except for the actual filming, student films itself, has helped me with like the brick films and stuff. Yeah.
What camera and editing software do you use then?
So I used a C920 webcam.
Oh, cool.
A lot of our brick filmers still do. And yeah, I just like I have thought in the past about moving to a DSLR, but I just really like the webcam and just how like easily you can put it like within the set and stuff. And I think it just looks really good as well.
You could try
also,
both, couldn't you? Maybe one day, and if you want a certain shot, if you want a certain thing for one shot and a certain thing for another shot, just alternate, I guess. Or
yeah, I think I am I think at some point in the future I probably will get a DSLR, because one of the things I do like about like DSLRs is having an actual zoom, because the webcam doesn't really have an actual zoom. So when you zoom in, it loses the quality because you're just sort of like, it's a bit like when you stretch an image in
so you can't like focus
an editor.
Is there anything on Dragonframe that you can make the camera focus? Or
oh yeah, so there's a software for the webcam on my computer, and it has all these settings like white balancing and focus pulling, and there's actually a lot of settings on there that is actually quite good. So I can pull the focus and everything. I mean, I love doing that. So I use that for the recording. I have this really kind of obscure software which no one other than me uses. Well, at least in the Brickfilming community. It's ZU 3D.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, that's the response I always get. So basically, when I started making films just by myself, like before I uploaded them to YouTube, I used to have this method where I used to use a small camera. I'd take photos, and then I would actually put the photos on my computer and then film my computer screen as I was going through the photos, because that's all I knew what to do at the time.
Oh.
But then my camera died, and I remember it was like the October of like 2014, and my parents had bought me this software for Christmas, but because my camera died, they let me have it early, and it was the ZU3D software like pack. And I actually, so even though that was like 6 years ago, I just continued to use it because it just worked.
Fair enough.
So I haven't upgraded to Dragonframe. I just like ZU3D.
Yeah. Well, I think we can move on to Legit or a Bit, if that's all right with you.
Yeah, sure.
So I'll make my story. Obviously, you can ask whatever question you want about the story.
Yeah, sure.
So, basically, I accepted a big packet of crisps and a pint of Stella as upfront payment for helping my friend with a film, well, a music video. So I'll tell the story. So basically, I'll travel to this location, which was a little bit rough with my DSLR Canon 700D, which is fairly expensive camera. So I risked it getting mugged. And anyway, I filmed quite a few shots with my friend. And I was like, all right, then, can you pay me for this? And he agreed before. And he was like, yeah, sure. But I haven't got 35 quid on me at the moment. Like, I'm going to get paid Saturday. So, I've got a few quid on me because I always used to eat Walker's crisps because I knew this person at college and I always had Walker's crisps in the like food cantina section. And he was like, I'll get you a big packet of Walker's crisps and I'll buy you a pint of Stella because he did have 10 quid on him, but he didn't have the 35. So I accepted that as upfront payment and then he gave me 35 quid. Afterwards, like not on the same day, like when we went back to college after the Saturday. So I accepted the big packet of crisps and the pint of Stella because who doesn't love a bit of Stella? So, well, have you got any more questions you want to ask? Any questions you want to ask about the story then?
I guess like one of the things I want to ask is because like, if he did actually give you the 30, like. Could you have just sort of said, "Oh yeah, can you wait a couple of days?" Like instead of having to give you like that as well.
I just wanted that as a, he just offered it out there, and I was just like, I just thought I might as well take it. To be honest, like it's just security, that's all it is really, and yeah, just a bit of security, and then he paid me on the Monday. So, any more questions?
No, I don't know. I feel like it kind of sounds legit. Like,
so you think it's true or false then?
Yeah, I'd say it's true because I feel like it's the type of thing that I can imagine, like doing with like one of my friends in uni or whatever.
Well,
like,
William, I'm afraid it was a lie.
I
thought you were going to get it, man. I thought I messed up when you said about why would he even do this? Why not just pay you on the Monday?
Well, like I did want to ask, but at the same time, I did feel like it was something that could happen. I could imagine doing that myself. So I was like, maybe you're telling the truth. I don't know. Yeah. I almost got you though.
You were really close, to be fair. Do you want to tell me a story or?
Yeah, sure.
Oh,
okay.
Cool. Yes, lad.
Okay. So, when I was in Bulgaria, I once I had I found this like really rusty nail. It was just on the floor in our house, and I decided just because I was bored that I would put it through a plug socket.
What? And so you put a nail through a plug socket. That's the story.
Yeah. So I was like, and the funny thing is in Bulgaria is that because like in the UK you've got like the switches for the plug sockets. In Bulgaria they're just always live. Okay. So I could have literally just electrocuted myself. Mm-hmm. And I mean, like, I just saw it on the floor, and I was like, I must have been like 7 or something, and I was just like, oh yeah, I just put it in, like,
did your parents? I was bored.
Yeah, so they came in afterwards, and they thought they were like, what the hell? Like they could see like this like rusty nail, and it was kind of like a long nail, just like halfway into a plug socket, and they were like, what have you done?
Oof. Very good, very good. You have watched Would I Lie to You? Fair play. Oh, I can't think of any more questions. I'm gonna go for false.
Oh, it's true.
Well done. You've had it. I thought he's really making this one out. I don't know. I don't know why. I just thought like it. It does sort of make sense, but I thought he's lying. But fair play, nice
Yeah,
one.
I mean, I just thought it was sounded dumb enough for it to be false.
Yeah, smart man. But
uh,
aggro Aaron. Then I'm trying to think something that has annoyed me. Oof. People
oh
who
yeah, I forgot it was supposed to be about. Oh, because you. So sorry. So that now it's about like things that aggravate you. Is it like it's
annoy,
like a
yeah, that
different?
annoy you.
Oh, okay, cool.
So to make it like brick film or like I don't know, just actually no film related in general, not just brick films. Or you could apply it to brick films. People who can't take any criticism at all with their films, like
Oh, totally.
you have to say things in a certain way. You can't just say this is totally rubbish. But if you say like, or even if you say to someone's idea, maybe it'd be cool if this character did this. Blah blah. Well, the character already does this. How dare you? The character already does this. So you're wrong. Like, well, what about maybe you could have done this shot differently. Maybe you could edit this differently. Maybe you could trim down this clip. Maybe add some transitions here, whatever. And then they're like, no, how dare you mock my film? Blah 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 blah. And it's like, I'm only trying to help. I'm not saying it's shit. I just
Yeah. Well, no, that's I totally get that, like entirely. Like I feel exactly the same, and I've come across that a lot. You do, I think, come across a lot of people that just can't take any criticism, and it's just kind of like it's sad because it's like, how are you supposed to grow, just as a person in general, like if you can't take that criticism?
Yeah.
And I think it does stem from this thing of like people, especially online, can't face ever being wrong.
True.
And I mean, I would say that with like brick films or like in trying to improve something, it's not like right or wrong, but there is a kind of thing of like, oh yeah, I could see that could be different, or whatever. And I remember when I started doing when I first joined like the brick films community like more actively, and I started to sort of like interact with people. I remember I did get quite a lot of like constructive criticism.
That's good.
And when I was like 15, when I started, it was kind of the first time that anyone other than my parents were actively like saying stuff about my films. So it was kind of a bit of a punch, It's like, oh, people saying this stuff about my films. But I kind of grew to kind of like accept that and kind of like learn that, I could grow so much beyond this. And like within like a year, I felt like I'd grown a lot. But then like I kept sort of listening to what they were saying, and I kind of felt like I am where I am now because I listened to the sort of criticism. And without people being kind of willing to kind of like, be constructive and stuff, like I wouldn't have gone anywhere. I would have thought, I would have just thought, oh yeah, this is like, I'm a genius. And, from day one, I didn't need to improve, and that's just not a good way to be,
Yeah.
And I think that's just it's the same with just like in general, like people. I think some of the things that really aggravates me when people like have an opinion, like on Twitter or anything, and it's like you never see anyone ever say, "Oh yeah, I could see why I was wrong there. I'm sorry about that." There's just never. People just always have to just find a way of, oh yeah, I'm right and you're wrong.
Yeah. It just seems like there's a lot of people on the internet who just get obsessed with that. I mean, I'm not trying to big up anyone or put anyone down, but I see some successful people. Well, some people who are doing well for themselves on Facebook, and you can usually tell that they're mentally doing well. I mean, I could be wrong. There could be, I don't know. But the point is, people who are doing really well aren't posting constant pictures on social media. They're just enjoying themselves and having a good time. And a lot of people who like, I've said a lot about this before, like there's people who take pictures, they're having a good moment with their friends or their loved ones or whatever, and they're like, oh, let's take a picture to show everyone what we're doing. And I'm thinking, if the moment was really amazing, why do you need to take a picture? Is it really that amazing that you need to suddenly stop that moment and then say, oh, like it is fun to take some pictures sometimes, don't get me wrong, but like doing it all the time and telling everyone what you're doing, where you are 24/7, it's like, why not just live in the real world instead of living on social media?
Oh yeah, totally. I feel like I think if you spend a lot of time posting stuff on social media, especially if it's like Facebook or whatever, it's kind of like, I don't know. I feel like when people become like if people will generally become happier and sort of, I don't know, I'm trying to find a way of saying this. Sounds right. I think that when people like start becoming less active on Facebook, it's usually a good sign.
Yeah.
Because it usually kind of means that they've got enough going on. They don't have to constantly post stuff, you know.
Exactly. I mean, I do share a lot of stuff right on Facebook, but it's stuff I'm interested in. It's not like I'm living my life on Facebook. It's not like I'm saying,
Oh yeah.
I'm here at this time. I'm here. I usually just share MMA stuff really, and boxing stuff and film stuff and all that jazz.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's different. I think, you know, sharing stuff that you're into, like films or entertainment or stuff like that, it's like that's different. I think,
Yeah.
because it's like, you know, you're kind of sharing your enjoyment for something that you like, you know.
Yeah.
And that's something that I totally see being something that you want to share online. Like that kind of, it's not really about you, it's about the thing you like. So it's kind of, it's a bit different. Whereas like if you're constantly just sharing stuff, but oh, here's me and my friends, it's kind of just like, you know, you think that you're your own like fan base or something. I don't know. It's a bit weird.
Yeah. I mean, it's all right sometimes, but if you're doing it 24/7 and
yeah. But I still do it sometimes with my friends, but like it's kind of like, you know, a couple of times a year, you know, when we're like a special occasion or anything like that, you know.
Fair play, bro. Well, I think we can wrap up nicely there. Have you got any final thoughts or anything you want to say?
Well, yeah, thank you so much for having me on. It's been a lot of fun. Yeah.
Cheers, bro. I thank you for coming on. But
Thank you.
Guess we can end it there. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one.
Yeah, see you. Bye.